Thanks for joining us today on CCnDoc Talk, where we talk about everything under the sun. You never know quite what you're going to get, but you'll always be entertained. We interrupt your regularly scheduled podcast to welcome you to the shit show, and I do mean literally. But first, we have some really fantastic, phenomenal, exciting, ecstatic news to share. So this is Cece, and as many of you know, I recently had colorectal resection surgery because back in November I was diagnosed with stage 3B colorectal cancer. And the wonderful news is that since my scans on June 6th and my surgery on June 13th, and I'm a week from surgery, my pathology came back and it said, say it with me, Doc, no cancer!
Woohoo!
So,
we are super excited.
Oh my God.
Super. Every time you say it, I just get goosebumps.
It's the best news ever. Now, obviously, technically, we're not allowed to say cancer-free, or at least the doctors don't say cancer-free, but we are saying
5 years.
Cancer,
but right now,
5 years.
It just feels right.
That's right. So cancer-free in me. So I told you the other day, CC no longer just stands for my name. It also stands for cured of cancer. So along with this surgery that I just recently I have 6 holes in my abdomen. And one of those right now is a drain coming out. And then another one is actually a temporary ileostomy. So for those of you who don't know, an ileostomy actually connects to the ileum, which is part of your small intestine. So what happens with an ileostomy is all of your output, all of your waste, all of your poop, if you will, I call it sludge, is actually liquid. So it is a little bit more complicated to get a good seal because there's this whole thing with a seal and a waffle and a pouch. It sounds like breakfast, but it's nothing like that. It's much more difficult to get a seal.
I think it was a wafer.
A wafer, yeah.
But still.
Yeah, wafer, waffle.
Not edible.
Yeah. Tomato. Well, and so then the challenge for us right now is that sometimes there's only one place where your surgeon can place your ileostomy. And in my case, it is only 1/2 inch from my belly button, which is a bit like a pit. And so we have had some major leakage problems, which I will go back to the title of this podcast, Welcome to the Shit Show. So normally ileostomy patients go through maybe 2 bags and two, we'll call them setup changes in a week. And I'm now on number 10 in 1 week. Would you like to share anything about our experience so far, Doc?
It's definitely been an engineering challenge to figure out how to blockade the belly button as the, I can't imagine, it was like when they went to build the Hoover Dam. How do you reroute this, Keep the river flowing. But we're trying to dam it up, not keep it flowing. And I got to tell you, this is it's an engineering feat to figure this out. But we're making progress.
And I'm not Hans Brinker, so I can't keep my finger in the dike all the time.
No, you cannot keep it from flowing. And so...
Yeah.
And the other thing is, every time we change this wafer, which is super sticky on the skin, the one day we ended up doing it, 5 times in one day?
5 times.
The skin just gets so raw, and I feel so bad. And then, now we're taking more and more time getting this wafer off because your skin is so raw. And so sometimes it takes us at least 2.5 hours to do the whole process by the time we get the other one off and get it cleaned up and give it a chance to breathe. And of course we call it little squirt, and little squirt
that's the name of my ileostomy.
And so squirt decides to get a little active while we're trying to get a new one on. And so it's definitely, it's kind of, I would equate it to having a newborn. It's kind of like, I got this. Okay, I don't have this. Okay, I got this. Oh my gosh, no. Okay, no. Oh my, I need some sleep.
And then there was that one day where we actually forgot to close the bag because the bags are disposable, but they're also reusable. So they give you the bag. So there's a couple of different steps to the setup. So you put on the wafer or the waffle and the base layer that goes around the stoma, and then you attach the bag to it. But the one day we actually didn't realize that the bags didn't come like already rolled up and fastened on the bottom. So then I leaked out the bottom of the bag because we didn't have the bag closed.
Well, and by leaking out the bottom of the bag, you realize that the under the wafer was also leaking.
Yeah. So
you know,
that was a serious blow.
That was 1 a.m, and we didn't get back to sleep till 4 a.m.
Yeah. So a couple things I want to preface this with. First of all, every day without cancer is a good day. So as far as we're concerned, this is seriously minor in the grand scheme of things. I mean, I don't have cancer anymore. And so whatever we have to deal with right now, this is a temporary situation, 6 to 8 weeks until my body can heal from the major surgery that I had on my rectum area. And then they will reconnect me, and my colon will now have to figure out how to operate as a partial rectum. So that will be a whole different shit show. And
so we're looking forward to not that one.
But I really, really, really want to emphasize how much you and I are taking this in stride. We're trying to keep our sense of humor. One time I got a little bit discouraged, but that was the day we came home from the hospital. We had 3 leaks that night. We were both so tired, and you were so
when you're in the
comforting.
hospital, and then that night we didn't sleep. So yeah, we were on 4 days without much sleep, and it was a little taxing.
So for those of you who think we're always positive, I did have a moment that night and a tear. I was like, oh my God, we're never gonna figure this out. But honestly, like Amy was really comforting, and so we're getting it. We're absolutely getting it. And I think part of this podcast is I want to encourage other people who are going through this. Like, it's not the end of the world. We're figuring it out. It's actually what's really great is I'll have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, and we won't have to take our toilet on wheels, our V-Van, no Dick Van Dyke, because my
we don't have to have our mobile toilet with tomorrow.
My poop is in the pouch.
That's right, because you don't have to stop to go to the bathroom.
I don't have to stop to go to the bathroom.
Well, I have that urgency issue. Now,
I do still have to pee.
You have to pee.
I do still have to pee.
Well, I think this really is a lesson in that resilience and agility, and knowing that having the confidence that's like, okay, we can do this.
Yeah,
we can do this. And I'd like to just give you a compliment from the beginning. You're like, okay, we're going to get through this. We're going to do this. And, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, I call them the different phases of the treatment.
Chemo,
so we had radiation and then chemo, and now we're in the surgeries. I guess stages go with cancer, so phases. So this is really the phase 3 part. But from the beginning, it's like, okay, we're going to do this. And we set our intention of life.
Cancer-free.
Yeah, cancer-free. Not just, living with it or whatever. It's cancer-free. And the amount of healing work that you've done, mind, body, spirit, as well as medicine, has been relentless and endless. And I don't know how much people realize how much on a daily basis that you're doing affirmations and meditations and working with healers and working with Reiki masters and a therapist. And I mean, you are really on a journey to be able to have the right mental place to be able to be cancer-free for life, and a testament to you, because the doctors even said there's no way you're going to shrink this tumor, which was over 4 inches, by the time your surgery down to nothing. And the fact that your scans came back as no evidence of any tumor
before surgery
was a testament to this is a combination of medicine, science and medicine, and this personal work that you've done. So just a kudos to you for the work that you've done.
Thank you.
So back to, I know you want to add
really
something
do.
there, but it really, this is about the resilience and the agility and state of mind.
Thank you. I really do appreciate that. And I will accept that compliment graciously. I am really proud of myself. I also know that there's a whole lot of people out there. We are blessed with a lot of friends and a lot of family.
A lot of prayer, a lot of good juju, a lot of spirits that are sending.
Yep. They send us goodness. They send us light. They send us prayers. They send us good juju. And of course, the alternative healers that Amy was talking about, Anake and Shakara of Love and Withstand, have been, just godsends in terms of getting to this result. So we're super thrilled about that. One of the interesting things that you said about mindset, and I really want to talk about this, is that, we mentioned earlier, we named my stoma Little Squirt. And I want to go back to where that originally came from.
Well, and also dealing with things with humor.
Right. Totally.
I mean, even during chemo, you had acid tears, so we had to use humor, even when it was kind of like
Right.
some dark days there.
Right. And I'm telling you, by the way, little Squirt is a she, and she talks to me all day
She's
long.
a morning. She's
She
a
talks
little
to me all
morning
day
girl.
long. Sometimes it sounds like a little washing machine.
I think it sounds like a dolphin.
It sounds a little less like farts and more like stomach gurgling.
Sounds like a dolphin, though.
Yeah, I guess sometimes it does.
It just kind of talks.
When your stomach gurgles on the inside, it's like now my stomach gurgles, but it's on the outside, so you can hear all of it. So I can understand how some people would have, a kind of a stigma around the stoma because, for instance, the moment that I start eating, I start gurgling. And so it is you could understand how some people would be very self-conscious about it. But, in our situation right now, we're still not doing that whole socialization eating out thing. But I can see how that would be a challenge for some people. And the only advice that I can give is, use humor, be honest, let people know what's happening, and so they're not because it kind of just sounds like your stomach's hungry or something. But I do want to go back to the whole idea of where we got the idea to name the stoma. And, some of this comes from my dad. So my father was an above knee right leg amputee back in 2016. And I had read this blog of this guy who had lost a leg, very similar amputation. And he said the first thing that he did was he named his stump because it made it something that he could connect with. That way he could touch it, he could talk to it. He gave it the name so that he could really refer to it. And one of the biggest things that he found as a result of that was that he didn't experience any phantom pain from the limb. And so I remember us sharing that story with my dad, and he totally took it in stride, and he named his stump Shorty. And he really did have a lot of success with that idea of naming his stump and being able to communicate with it. And he would tell it what to do. And when it wasn't behaving, he could, tap on it and tell it to behave. And so then take that, move forward to this current time and situation. The other day, Amy and I had already named the stoma, but the other day when I was in the hospital and the first wound care nurse came in to show us how to set up the pouches. It's not a bag, it's a pouch, but she showed us the setup. She immediately started talking to my stoma. You remember? She was like, "Oh, she's so cute," and she touched her, and she was like telling her to behave, and she was interacting with it. And because again, I believe
so comfortable with it too.
She was, awesome. And I believe so much in that mind-body connection.
Yep.
I really think that and you jokingly named it Squirt, but it's worked out perfectly. And thankfully, she doesn't just squirt like some people's do. Mine just sort of burbles.
Oozes.
But anyway, it's just been. I really do think that was a really important thing that we did was naming her, because we can now interact and talk with it when we're and I do think like last night I was able to calm it down a little bit because I had just eaten before we had the leak last night, and it never fails. It's just like a cat vomiting in the middle of the night, right? Like it never happens. It never happens at 2:00 in the afternoon. It happens at 10
or it doesn't happen during the week in the middle of the day where you
No.
can get help if you need it. It's always on the weekend or in the evening or in the middle of the night. And
yeah. Last night we were just sitting down after a really long day to watch TV, and I literally had just sat down and I'm like, oh, we got a leak.
And what was it, like 10:30 or 11 or something like that? It was like, oh.
I've had more showers in the last few days. I mean, it's just been like I had 3 showers a day one day.
I think you're trying to recoup that pool time. That
yeah, because I can't get in the pool right now. And of course, if this thing's still leaking, I won't be getting in the pool until after I'm recovered from the second surgery. Yeah. But what else,
I think I'd like to just acknowledge that, everybody in life is going through something.
Absolutely.
And, whether you're dealing with shit or literally or figuratively, we all have shit that we're dealing with.
Don't make me laugh.
Okay.
Stitches.
That's right. I'm trying to be more serious here. So, we all have something, and, it's a choice whether to share it with others so that you can get help and also to be strong and be resilient and do your own things. Like you are trying to do as much as you can on your own. And then there are times that I kind of step in and help. But I, you really have been the one to say, I can get this. I can do my own shower. I can do the cleaning and whatever it is. But then when it comes to certain pieces of it, it's like, okay, maybe it's nice to have that extra pair of hands.
Totally.
I can't imagine in the beginning. I know that some people have to learn how to do this in the mirror
by themselves. Oh my God.
I can't imagine. So, so Schadenfreude, right? You get pleasure from somebody else's pain that is worse than yours. So we know that other people have it worse than this.
Y'all can Schadenfreude me all day long right now.
And it's just a matter of, it's a personal, everybody is on a personal journey.
Agreed.
And we all have to exercise a lot of resilience and agility and, patience. And, but having the confidence to know it's like, I got this. And that's where self-esteem and self-confidence and it even affects your self-worth comes from. It's like, okay, I can do this. And having that right mindset is key.
Right.
And even when it's long-term and it's grinding and it's just wearing, to know that, you know what, you can do this.
Right. Because there's lots of people who have to live with this for the rest of their lives.
Or what they're dealing with has been long-term.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to come back to that because I want you to, in a moment, I'm going to ask you to share this from a caregiver's perspective and give some caregiver advice to those who are dealing with this, who maybe aren't as patient, maybe aren't as resilient. But before we do that, I do want to give a shout out to Amy's Uncle Mike, who has lived with a colostomy for the last 20 years, just celebrated his rebirth celebration of life a few weeks ago. And
he has a birthday. Yeah.
He called and gave me a lot of information, but the biggest thing he said was, don't be afraid of this. It's not a big deal. You can do it. And it was so reassuring just in that, he's been there, done that. And it was 20 years ago. And he's like, there are so many more advancements in bags and things. And again, we have the challenge of the belly button thing, which not everybody has, but you and I do well with the challenge. And like you said, you have a great engineer brain. So thank you, Uncle Mike. It's Amy's Uncle Mike. Thank you, Uncle Mike.
Thank you, Uncle Mike.
We really appreciate that. And then Amy, Doc, I really do want you to go back and share from a caregiver's perspective,
a care
partner's perspective. How do you manage this and the stress that goes up with it? I mean, you're up with me all night. You're, helping me do the cleanup. You're helping me redo the setup because, we do have to do some extra things. I'm starting to feel like an HGTV home improvement project because, we have to fill my belly button with wax and make it level. And then we have to put a layer on before we put the other layer on. And I mean, literally, I'm like a I don't know what I am. I'm a mixed media something.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. But share from your perspective.
I think
care partner.
What I'm trying to do is, you want to be able to have that sense of self-sufficiency. Mm-hmm. And so when and where you can do things, I just I just observe and just be there for an extra pair of hands where needed. And so, so I don't try to do it all for you or I don't just let you do it all on your own. It's just a matter of how can we do this together?
Right.
And I think it's just being super aware, super observant. We're also very in tune.
We also communicate very well.
And we communicate. And it's like, and I guess some of the things I would say is, would you like my help with that? Do you need some assistance with that? How can I get in your way? And so I'm letting you drive how and where I can help.
Right.
And then now that we've done this a few times, it's kind of like you have your pieces that you can do.
Yeah, like I get it off and then I clean it up while you're getting the
wafer
waffle
cut
ready
out.
because you have to cut a special hole out that matches the size
getting
of your
all that.
stoma.
Yep.
And you get it all ready, and you get the wax ready.
Rings all ready.
You can see a little better from a different angle, so you get the belly button level.
So I think we've kind of each found a little bit of a role that we have in this.
Right.
But even larger than that, you're tossing laundry loads in, and then all of a
I'm
sudden...
not really doing much after that. I'm just tossing it in and going to take a nap.
And then you're like, okay, I need to lay down because this is a lot of work. And then so I just step in and finish that load. And same with, you're able to grab some food and sit and keep yourself fed. Lots of little meals throughout the day. And if I need to, then step in and throw the dishes in the dishwasher and get it on and whatever else. So I think it's just a matter
standing up
of,
for long periods right now is challenging. But...
Yeah, I mean, and then just saying, hey, it's beautiful outside. Let's go for a walk. And giving you the opportunity to say no.
I walked twice today. I'm so proud of myself.
You did what? Over a mile, didn't you?
Total for the 2 walks, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And so giving you the opportunity to say no and giving you the opportunity to say yes.
Yeah. And, I mean, I have to really give you credit. I mean, everybody who knows us knows that you're literally, one of the most amazing people on the planet. I mean, my mom always refers to you as Amazing Amy, and you really can do anything. But, the way that you've stepped up to share in this situation and in this journey with me has been really tremendous. But, you have endless patience. Like, and if you've been watching us on Instagram, you'll know that we got a flat tire on the way to surgery. Literally on the way. We were going the night before.
Thank goodness.
So that was,
we had a couple hours cushion before we had to be there at 5.
But we got a flat tire in our RV, which we had loaded to the gills. So it was super heavy. And you just calmly as you please, just, you sped up to get us to the gas station and thank God for tire sensors, before the tire sensor got too low. And we have a full-size spare, and
I didn't want to change it on the side of the highway, right. But if I could get off on the next exit and at least into a parking lot of a gas station,
right? But you did all that with just the utmost grace and just patience, and you didn't get frustrated, you didn't get snarky, and that really set the tone for me. Because, like I told you, I said, I can change a tire, but if this had happened to me by myself in this situation, I would have totally freaked the fuck out.
Well, actually,
and I would have
what
been
did you
like,
say?
Ah!
You said I would have just sat down on the curb and cried.
I would have. I totally would have. I mean, that's where I would have been. So, you drive as my care partner. Some days you drive kind of the tone in terms of how mellow I can be, because we both know that I can, swing on the branches of the crazy tree sometimes, which is, is a reason for all the meditation that I'm now doing. And I'm much better. But certainly you definitely can drive as a care partner. You drive sort of that tone of calm. So even the other night when I had my little moment, you're like, it's fine. You're like, and you know what? Our goal is going to be to make a mess. Like, if we make a mess, we clean it up. It'll be fine. Let's just make a mess. Like, don't worry about it, because you knew that I wasn't sleeping well because I'm trying to stay.
You're staying so flat on your back that you're not sleeping well because you didn't want to make a mess. So the next morning I got up and I said, you know what? Let's make a mess. Well, I should have said that so literally, because we have made a mess ever since. But now I'm like, okay, now we're going to figure this out so that we don't make a mess all day and all night. So be careful what you put to the universe, right? But it's okay if we make a mess, but let's not continue to make messes like we have been. No.
Well, and I know some.
I'm joking here. Whatever I'm trying to say.
I totally do. Well, and so we have had a few friends who have either been caregivers in the past, or they understand what the role of being a care partner is like, and so they're constantly telling you need to take care of yourself, Amy. You need to take care of yourself, Amy. And there's a lot of assumptions, I think, being made about how much you're taking care of yourself. So will you just take a brief moment? We're sort of going off topic a little bit, but take a brief moment and just share how you are caring for yourself during this process and not just caring for me.
Well, taking care of myself for me is making sure that, my meals might be different than your meals. Mm-hmm. You're over there having a tiny little nibble of...
A quarter cup of rice and...
A quarter cup of rice and maybe some mashed potatoes. And the other day, I made you a taco, a little breakfast taco that had eggs with rice in it.
Yep.
And
because rice thickens the output. Yogurt thickens the output.
And researching and reading all this stuff with you, know what to do. And a tortilla was fine with cheese. And I sat down, and I'm kind of cleaning out the freezer of stuff you can't have. So I sat down and I had some prime rib and mashed
which
potatoes. Which
smelled really good, by the way. Thanks a lot. I'm joking.
And mashed potatoes and mac and cheese or whatever else. And so, I'm not depriving myself of certain meals. I'm not flaunting it in front of your face or whatever, those types of things. And then
fine.
And then the other morning you got up and I slept in. I mean, I was exhausted and I didn't get up. I mean, you came in and and you're like, "Are you okay in here?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
I had my Pop-Tart, and I think I tried decaf tea that day, and
it was like 10:30, and I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of rolled over a few times. We're sleeping in a different bedroom."
I was so glad.
So there's no clocks or whatever, and I'm like, "Whatever." And so it was a weekend, and so I just slept in. And then I also re-energize by doing projects, and so just being able to know that you're okay.
Yep.
And now the projects that I'm doing are a little bit closer to the house and not as noisy. So if you need me, that I have my phone available, or you can text, like if I'm out in the tiki barn working on something, or up at the garage, and I'm not out doing fire mitigation because I wouldn't be able to hear if you needed me.
Right.
And so I have different projects happening right now.
Yeah.
And then the other day, you and I just sat and watched movies during the middle of the day, and we never do that.
We didn't even do that during chemo, and we had said we were going to do that during chemo, and we didn't. And so it was really nice to just have a really down day.
It was just a absolute down day, and it was wonderful. And you were thinking that I was doing it for you, but I was really doing it for me as well,
which is great.
And I'm still, like, you're using the main level bathroom, and I'm still using the upper one. And you're like, you should bring your stuff down, and I'm like, no, because it still gives me a sense of normalcy in my little world.
Right.
That I still have my stuff in the other bathroom.
And we are actually sleeping on the lower floor right now. I can do the stairs, and I do the stairs because I like our shower upstairs better. It's a walk-in shower, and we have a shower seat in there, and it makes it much easier. But we are using the lower floor bed right now and things like that, just for a little bit of ease.
Accommodating for one another, but
right.
Still getting your own needs met. And
right.
so...
Well, and to that point, I do have to brag about you for a couple minutes. So not only did you buy, so we have a couch in the living room, and she actually bought the matching recliner the other day, which is like an oversized recliner that fits both of us, but we're calling it the recovery recliner. And we put it down in the basement because it's 20 degrees cooler down there because we don't have air conditioning. Many homes in Colorado don't have air conditioning. And so now I have this great recliner down there, but then after I didn't sleep well that night, I've been a little stiff from trying to sleep, straight with my back straight and my legs straight and everything, so I don't disrupt and get a leak. You set up, of all things, our dining room table the other day. She put a big like foam mattress on the dining room table. She gave me a almost full body massage. We had to skip the middle area, but I can't roll over.
So,
but
all right, so
full body massage the other day, and that was amazing because for some reason my chemo-induced peripheral neuropathy sort of spiked up after being in the hospital because I had been laying down so long. It was so nice to have that.
Well, I think kind of really being attuned to what the other person could use and needs. And, sometimes it's just a hug, right? And things are going to be okay. But sometimes it's a lot more than that. And this may not be appropriate for everyone out there, but I mean, your neuropathy was going crazy. You've been off some of your supplements, and also you've been laying very still because you can't move left, you can't move right, you can't flip on your stomach or anything, and you were in the hospital beds, which are not comfortable. So I could tell you that your body was probably wound up or just tightened and just kind of like it needed to just stretch and relax. And so you were taking a nap. And I went and got one of our yoga mats, which it's actually a camping mat, so it's 4 inches thick foam or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at it, it's like, okay, where is the best place to give you a massage where I'm not on the floor or going to end up crippled by doing that? And we have a very sturdy dining room table, so I just clean off the dining room table and put that mat right up on the dining room table, and you kind of woke up and you're like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, yep, you're going to get up here. And you did. You got up onto the table and then just on your back, and I was able to work on your limbs, and especially just to get to your feet and your hands and try.
That's where the neuropathy is.
That's where the neuropathy is. And so it wasn't purposely just to give you like this full body massage. It was really to say your nerves need to recognize that there's some healing that needs to happen in these areas.
Right. And it was absolutely glorious. I can't wait till the next one.
I'm busy. I'm busy doing everything.
Right?
Yeah.
You're busy doing everything. I know.
I'm no longer busy doing nothing.
Right,
I'm busy doing everything.
Right. And so I just really want to tell you how much I appreciate that. I mean, you really are a godsend, and I recognize that not every care provider has that level of patience and that level of understanding
or the time,
right? But the other thing is, I think sometimes you've realized that you don't have to be doing something every moment. You can actually be sitting with me, because sometimes that gives me more comfort than anything.
Yeah, you actually sometimes feel guilty if I'm still doing stuff versus just sitting with you.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's kind of a catch-22.
So yeah, absolutely. So one other thing I want to touch on is that anybody who is a new ileostomy, Ostomate is the term. So I'm now an Ostomate.
Sounds like something from down under or something.
So there's definitely a lot of food restrictions, especially for the first 6 weeks. So by the time I'm off food
from
restrictions,
the land of thunder, I have an Ostomate here. Yeah. Anyway,
so by the time I'm actually off the whole food restriction thing, I will be getting my reconnect, and then I'll be back on the food restriction thing. But anyway,
different food restriction then.
Yeah, so this is, very, very small meals, eating every 2 or 3 hours, sometimes just even having a bite every hour, just because all of a sudden, at first you can almost feel every single bite of food pass through every part of your small intestine until it gets out. It's very strange. And for a while, I couldn't even tell if I was hungry. It was like it messed with my stomach. It sort of messed with everything. And so, making sure that you're eating, we're realizing that protein is huge. I definitely have a lot more energy and a lot more stamina with protein. Everything is bland, very, very low fiber. Soluble fiber is allowed, but it still shouldn't be overboard. So eat 2 slices of avocado, not an entire avocado. There's lots and lots of good information out there. Lots of good guides out there on certain websites that have information on what foods are good, what foods aren't good, what foods can stop up your stoma, and that will just send you straight to the hospital. So we're avoiding that.
Yep.
And what things can thicken your output to make it a little bit easier to manage, especially if you have a leak.
Thin it out.
Things that can thin it, things that will give you gas, things that will make it stink. Thankfully, mine so far has stunk way less.
You better knock on wood with that one.
It has stunk way less than my poo. I'm just saying. So anyway, so definitely, if you're an ostomate, do the homework, find out what's good for you, what's not. Test things out. We're realizing I'm learning a lot about my digestion, and I might, I will probably see food differently forever after this
because you're seeing food.
I can see everything coming through. So like orange Jello comes through orange. Blue Jello comes through green because bile is yellow, right? And so a lot of what's coming out here is stomach acid and bile. So blue Jello mixes with yellow, makes green. What else did we figure out? I can see what I've chewed well and what I haven't.
Well, and even some of your pills that you're taking, you can just see the pill come through because it didn't it completely dissolve before it just pops right out into your bag.
Yeah, sometimes you can see just the casing. Sometimes the pill doesn't
dissolve
entirely.
So,
we did learn that time release pain medications
don't work with the ileostomies because
it doesn't have enough time to absorb.
Right.
But I am getting all of my nutrition.
This is a learning lesson. I mean, it's just, and I think sorry, I just interrupted you.
That's okay.
Is that you and I you're finding the stuff. Once you find it, I'm happy to read it
with me, yeah.
So that we can both be informed and on the same page. So if I'm doing the cooking, I know, or if we're doing the shopping, or you went to buy something, I'm like, you can't have that. It has seeds in it,
Right.
And you're like, oh my gosh, I almost forgot,
Right.
So, we're in this together, and me knowing, what works, what doesn't work.
And it is a little bit of trial and error, and literally, like, I don't know. I mean, I pretty much have gas kind of off and on all the time right now, and so it's kind of part of the deal, and you figure out what works and what doesn't. And of course, you want to stop eating a little earlier in the evening and not drink a liter of water before you go to bed, because a lot of that, we realized that I don't know what percentage it is, but a huge percentage of the water you drink every day comes out in your ileostomy, and so that's crazy. So there's a lot of output from that, and then there's a lot to learn. And so if you are an ileostomy patient or an ostomate, do your homework, do some research. Feel free to reach out to me or us on social media. We're out there. You can always message us. We're happy to talk about this. Obviously, we're happy to talk about this.
I think the other key message here is never stop learning, right? Even if it's areas that you never thought you'd have knowledge in.
Right.
But never stop learning. And when you are with somebody who's going through something, don't just assume that they have it.
Right.
It's like, oh, this is your thing to deal with. You get to be the research, and you get to know what you should eat or not.
Right.
You do it together. And I think just being an active part of it. Like, I mean, there are times that I walk by and I just kind of like, can I check? And I want to see, is there any breach or a leak or something happening? Because, I was the one that put the last wafer on.
Right.
And so I'm not just assuming that you're going to tell me when it's too late.
Right.
Is that I can go, okay, hey, let's take a peek. Where are we at?
Right.
So I can be an active participant in preventative stuff as well.
Right. And we're not trying to be paranoid. We're just, but I appreciate that so much because, I'm not always, there's at least 1 minute of the day when I'm not thinking about a leak. So, that's a good time for you to come by. Right, exactly. One thing that we did learn, and we learned this about chemo as well, because chemo does such a number on your digestive system, especially the chemo that I had. But if you are going to take any supplements, like a multivitamin or something, there are really great chewables out there. And chewables are good.
Sublingual, so you can put them under your tongue.
Yeah, chewable liquid or sublingual, all of that is so much better for your body. Anything that's liposomal is better. So, definitely do some homework there. And then before we go, the one thing that I do really want to make sure that I do is I really want to give a shout out to Parkview Medical Center and the Parkview Health System. And just to share that my experience in the hospital for those 3 days was really, really stellar. I had great nurses who took good care of me. The CNAs were very attentive and very kind. A lot of compassion from the people at Parkview, and obviously we know people there because we've worked with Parkview for a long time. But I just want to give kudos to the team that took care of me on 2 East. And I also want to give a shout out to my badass surgeon, Dr. Shetty, because she truly is. Yeah. She's just. I don't even know how to. I don't even know how to put it into words, but she is amazing, and I truly believe that she was the perfect person that I don't think we could have found a better person or a better surgeon to work with me. Yep. And it's really important for me to put that out there. And so, it's a small town private health system, and yet I got the same kind of care and the quality of care, and even the same modern medicine that I could have gotten in a bigger system. And my surgeon was even Mayo trained, and this is her specialty. So, we were really, really lucky to be able to receive that kind of care. It was a
6-hour surgery, so that's pretty intense.
6 hours upside down. Well,
they do.
Not quite upside down.
Yeah, well, you are. They tilt you. You tilt your head down. Anyhow. Along with that, I want to go back to the whole nursing staff that you talked about, and knowing that they had one heck of a ride over the last few years. Yeah. And so talk about being patient. Yeah. If for some reason that you do need medical care and end up in a hospital or a care facility, just know that these people need some kudos. These healthcare workers are exhausted. They've been beaten up. They've been beaten up by entitled people thinking that their rights are more important than their responsibilities
or their health.
And anyway, and it's just been a tough environment. So just thanking them, exercising patience with them, and just really giving them some recognition and some kudos.
And recognizing that they're still really, really busy. I mean, I was able to close. I had a private room, and I was able to close my door. But when you talk with them, you realize they've got so many patients that they're still trying to manage. And so many hospitals are short staffed. So just be kind to your healthcare workers. They still, in my mind, are the biggest healthcare heroes. And at this point, I'll also give a shout out to the staff at Rocky Mountain Cancer Center too, because those my nurses in the infusion center and even
you said there was one day where you were there for treatment, they had 120 people come through, and that's just one day at one center.
And I still felt like I was the most important person in the room that day because they made me feel that way. So I truly have been so blessed when it comes to medical care. So I very much appreciate that and want to share that. Do you have any final closing arguments or statements in terms of this shit show? I am the ringmaster.
You are the ringmaster of the Shetty Show.
Dr. Shetty will like that.
Oh, you know what? Just attitude is everything. Attitude and patience is everything. So, and I know this has kind of rambled on a little bit longer than I thought it would, but I think there was some good content here that everybody's dealing with some shit in their life.
Everything's relative, so don't feel like just because
the destroyer of all joy is comparison. So this is not a comparison thing, but it just exercise patience with yourself, find humor in things, and carry on. Every day without cancer is a beautiful day.
It is. Amen. And this shit show is still better than a bad day of chemo.
And what was that lady, the very, very first chemo treatment where she said...
Yeah, Polly, she said, it's hard not to be happy when you're this grateful. And that has stuck with me from day one.
All right, so it's hard not to be happy when you're this grateful. So be grateful.
And we are. We absolutely are. We appreciate all of your love and support. We would love it if you're not following us on social media. You are welcome to follow us. We would love that. We're going to continue this journey. There's still one more surgery left, and I think that, you know, that continuing to share our experience, strength, and hope is going to be a continued part of our lives for a very long time to come. I told Doc, just because we got no cancer news doesn't mean we can slack off. We still have to do the inner work. And so we will continue to do the inner work. You do the inner work, and we'll see you back here soon, or we'll hear you back here soon.
Sounds wonderful.
Thank you, everybody.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to CCnDoc Talk. We'd love for you to follow us on social media at CCnDoc. That's CCnDoc. And you can visit our website at CCnDoc.com. We also take monthly donations to support this broadcast if you're so inclined. We'd love to hear your comments, suggestions, and questions, and we'll do our best to respond. Thanks, and have a fantabulous day.